Long ago, when the boundary between Pokemon and humans wasn't clear, there was a village somewhere. One day, a girl from that village went into the mountains to get firewood. She found well-dried, dead wood deep in the forest, so she kept going further in. Before she realized it, the sun was setting and she had lost her way. Around her, there were droppings from a typhlosion. I don't know how to say that Pokemon's name, sorry, which made the girl anxious. Just then, a man appeared from the other side of the forest. His face didn't resemble anyone from the village, but he was very handsome. The man said, "You must be lost, right? I know a way to get back down to the mountain, but with your pace, it would be midnight before we get there. I'll take you back tomorrow morning, so why don't you rest at my place tonight?" The girl had no choice but to agree to the man's suggestion. The man took her hand and began to walk. As evening fell, they arrived at a large cave. "This is my home. You must be hungry, right? Wait here." Saying that, the man went outside the cave. After he left, a red light shone from far away in the mountains, and there was the sound of trees swaying. Before long, the man returned, carrying many red berries. He said, "Eat this, then let's sleep for the night. Even if you wake up before I do, don't look at my face." The next morning, when the girl woke up, the man was still asleep. She honored their promise and stayed lying down, waiting. Before long, she fell back asleep. She was awakened by the man's voice. When she looked outside, the sun was already setting. "Today we'll eat green berries. Wait here." With that, he went out of the cave. After he left, the same red light shone from far away, and the sound of trees swaying echoed once more. By the time the sun had set completely, the man returned, carrying many green berries. He said, "Eat this, then let's sleep for the night. Even if you wake up before I do, don't look at my face." The girl expressed her concern that her family would be worried and that she wanted to go home soon. The man yawned widely and tapped her on the head. At that moment, she completely forgot about her family and home. The two of them ate the green berries together and then fell asleep. The same routine continued, with them waking up when the sun had set, the men going out to gather berries, and the two of them eating and sleeping together. Eventually, the girl realized that the man was a Pokemon. I don't know the fucking name! As winter approached, the Pokemon dug deeper into the cave and said to the girl, "Go and gather wood for firewood. Break off the branches from higher parts of tall trees." The girl tried to do as the Typhus, the Pokemon, okay? It's the Pokemon, instructed. But the tall trees scared her, so she could only climb the shorter ones. When she brought back some branches, the Typhlosion, I fucking hate this name, the Pokemon, said that that won't do. If it's not from higher branches, humans will find us. When the snow began to fall, the two of them lived in the depths of the cave, mostly sleeping. There was plenty of food. Occasionally, they would wake up, eat, and then go back to sleep. One day, when she awoke, the girl was holding a child. Okay, after several days and nights passed, the Pokemon said, "Your father is looking for you, but you are my wife, so I can't return you. I will have to fight him." The girl pleaded, "Please don't do that. Don't kill my father. How can I live with you if you kill my family? You are a good person, so please stay here with me and sleep." "All right, let's stay here and sleep." The man nodded. It's not a man, but the next night, the Pokemon woke the girl and said, "Your father is close by. Go and see." The girl went outside. A snowstorm was raging. She climbed a low tree and broke off a branch. When she returned to the cave, the Pokemon was singing a song she had never heard before. "You broke off a branch, didn't you? Soon your father will come here. I am going to do something bad to your father. If I am killed, take my eyes, my voice, and my heart. Build a fire at the spot where I was killed and burn them. And while they burn, sing this song until the fire goes out." The girl said, "Please, don't do it. Don't kill my father. If anyone is to be killed, let it be you. Goodbye. We will never meet again." Oh, sorry, that was the Pokemon. "Goodbye. We will never meet again." With those words, the Pokemon went outside After a while, there was a loud noise, and when the girl looked outside, she saw her father had killed the Pokemon. She rushed out and said to her father, "Father, you have killed my husband. I have been living with him all this time. He was my husband. Please give me my husband. The Pokemon's eyes, voice, and heart." The girl built a fire at the place where the Typhallus had been killed and put his eyes, voice, and heart into the flames. She sang the song the Typhallus the Pokemon had taught her until the fire burned out. The girl's father built a small hut on the edge of the village for the girl and her child to live in. Eventually, spring arrived. The young men of the village often teased and tormented the girl and her child. It became worse over time, and one day they tried to drape a Pokemon's pelt over them. The girl returned home and pleaded with her parents. "Please tell the villagers to stop teasing us. If they put that pelt on us, we will surely become Pokemon. We already have Pokemon as it is." Despite the parents' pleas, the villagers did not listen. In fact, they found it even more amusing and eventually draped the Pokemon's pelt over the girl and her child. At that moment, they howled loudly and vanished into the depths of the forest. The two were never seen again, and so people came to understand Pokemon are half human beings. This shit is fucking deranged. Okay, so this is story 2. In the distant past, when the boundary between Pokemon and humans was still blurred, there was a woman and her companions. Every day they were bored, so they would often catch um, Slackoff, I don't know, living in the nearby forest. They played cruel games with the captured Slackoff, sometimes killing them for fun, gouging out their eyes, or cutting off their ears. What? One day the woman was walking alone in the forest and saw Slackoff hanging from a tree. Oh, I think no, it's not. Yeah. She climbed the tree to catch it, but slipped and injured herself. At that moment, a Vigoroth appeared. This Vigoroth had a torn ear. The woman, startled, tried to flee, but her injured leg hurt too much, and she couldn't move. The Vigoroth with the torn ear The Vigoroth with the torn ear suddenly attacked her, and when it saw her, the woman lost consciousness. When she awoke, she was in an unfamiliar place. Before her lay a clear lake, surrounded by trees, from which many Slakoth and Vigoroth were hanging. All the Pokemon bore wounds somewhere on their bodies, marks left by the woman and her companions. Upon closer inspection, she noticed that some of the Slakoth hanging from the trees were corpses. I fucking knew it! They were the very Slakoth that the woman and her friends had killed and discarded. The Slakoth were throwing those corpses into the lake. Terrified, the woman tried to run away, but a Slaking appeared. The Slaking also had a torn ear. The woman realized that this was the same Vigoroth she had seen earlier, and fear overwhelmed her, causing her to faint once more. Is she gonna get pregnant from the Pokemon? When the woman regained consciousness, she found herself at the entrance of the forest near her home, surrounded by her friends. They carried her back to her house. Sometime later, the woman gave birth to a child, but it wasn't a human child. It was a Slako. She intended to abandon it, but couldn't bring herself to do so. She stopped meeting with her friends and decided to raise the Slako. One day, her friends, concerned about her, visited the area near her home. They found the Slockoff sleeping there, the child of the woman. As they always did, they caught the Slackoff, stabbed it in the chest, and killed it. They took its corpse and headed to the woman's house. When she saw the slain Slackoff, the woman was overwhelmed with sorrow. She grabbed the Slackoff's body and ran deep into the forest. Her friends, shocked, chased her after her. As they ventured deeper into the forest, the surroundings suddenly opened up and they found the same clear lake from before. Around the lake were many Slakoth and Vigoroth. The woman stood before the lake, and holding the lifeless body of the Slakoth, she threw herself into the water. Afterwards, the woman's friends began to treat Slakoth's companions just as she had in her final moments. What the fuck? Okay, so this is one of the um, more controversial ones, I guess. So let's go. There was a time. No, wait. No, this isn't one of the most controversial ones. It's like one of the first ones they found. Again, there was a time when the boundaries between Pokemon and humans was blurred. In a coastal village, there was a man. One day, as he was walking along the shore, he found a female octillery washed up on the beach. The man had relations with the octillery and threw it back into the sea. The next day, he went to the same spot and found the same octillery again. He once more had relations with it and threw it back into the sea as before. One night, after several days had passed, the man had a dream. In the dream, the octillery spoke to him. I cannot come to you, but I will deliver our child to you. It is our child, yours and mine. The next morning, the man went to the place where he had met the octillery. There he found a boy. The man took the boy home and raised him. Time passed, the boy grew into a young man, and the father passed away. The young man was always lonely. One day, as the young man was walking along the shore, he saw a group of people playing in the distance. They all held very large swords in their hands as they danced. The young man approached the people, and as he got closer, he saw the Sharpedo were playing along the beach. When he tried to get even closer, the Sharpedo suddenly leapt into the sea all at once. However, one of the Sharpedo lingered, looking around 3 times before swimming away. At the spot where the Sharpedo had been playing, there was a large sword lying on the ground. It was a shape he had never seen before, and it was very sharp and pointed. The young man took the sword home. The next day, the young man took the sword and went into the forest. While walking through the forest, he encountered an Ursa ring. He tried slashing at the Ursa ring's mouth with the sword, and the mouth was easily severed. Next, he stabbed at the Ursa ring's eyes. They were easily pierced. Finally, the young man thrust the sword into the Ursa ring's chest, and the Ursa ring died effortlessly. That day, the young man killed 30! Oh my god. Ursaring, after that, always carried the sword with him, playing by injured. The Pokemon he encounters were cutting off parts of their bodies. One autumn, while the young man was searching for firewood, he lost his way. After waking up for a while, he stumbled upon Ursaring's den. Inside, there was an elderly Ursaring lying down. The elderly Ursaring looked at the young man and said, "Come inside." Okay, the young man hesitated, but as it was getting dark outside, he entered the den. Before long, people began to enter the den, one after another, filling the room completely. Looking closer, he saw that all the people had scarred faces, and some were missing their eyes. They were chatting among themselves, but the young man ignored them all and fell asleep. At one point, he woke up to find the elderly Ursaring lying beside him. He fell asleep again. When he awoke once more, there were many people around, talking about something. Again, the young man ignored them and went back to sleep. When spring arrived, the elderly Ursaring spoke. "Do you want to go home? Then I shall send you home. When you return, a whale lord will soon be found near the village. Go there, we will send a man. You must leave the sword behind and bring a witness. Why did you do such things, cutting faces and slicing off noses?" The elderly Ursaring escorted the young man back to the village. Upon his return, the young man recounted everything that had happened to the villagers. The following morning, the young man took some villagers with him and headed to the shore. As they walked along the coast, they found a large whale lord. Nearby on the beach was a teddy ursa. When they noticed the young man, the teddy ursa hid in the forest, and the large ursa ring came out in its place. As the ursa ring charged at him, the young man tried to draw the sword he had hidden, but it got stuck and he couldn't pull it out. So he rushed at the ursa ring with his bare hands. The young man and the ursa ring grappled, punching each other's faces. They strangled each other with all their strength, and so they choked each other to death, collapsing on top of one another. The villagers went back and told the others what they had seen. This is fucking messed up, bro.